Hello, comment, bienvenue. This is no word of a lie. I'm introducing you to one of my favorite people. And that's not just because she's paying me to say that. This is because she's actually a very kind human being who's one half of a partnership who've actually been very supportive to me for quite a long time. My goodness, it's measured in years now, which is scary. But Justine Blanchard does something quite interesting. And when I say it's quite interesting, it's kind of like a slight move away from the obvious or the normal. And part of that is she uses esoteric means to help improve your life. And a lot of it outdoors. Now, it's all about improving the way in which you see yourself. It's the old adage, isn't it? It's very hard to love other people unless you love yourself first. And
very true.
And to get to that point, often you need a bit of coercion, a bit of training, just to be able to understand the language you use. Now, we were just having a discussion talking about the more woo-woo aspect of what she does, and that is in no way derogatory. When I say woo-woo, it means I don't understand it. And part of the term and part of the problem may be to all you dear listeners out there in Linky Dink land is you may think you understand the terminologies used, but may well be confused by a lot of others. So what we're going to do today is Justine is going to teach me or tell me more about what she does as part of the body confidence wellness project, if you like, and explain some of the different elements as you would a 6-year-old child. Justine, I'm going to throw the baton to you.
Thank you. Well, I mean, two things particularly jump out at me in the things that you've just said. Number one is language, and that is very much it's the most important thing, really, are the words that we use to talk to and about ourselves, because often we talk to or about ourselves in language that we would never use to talk to another person, let alone a 6-year-old. But we wouldn't even talk to, our postman with the language that we talk to ourselves. We'd be horrified. So, that's one thing. And now I've completely forgotten the other thing that I was going to jump out with what you just said. But yes, about, esoteric and things like that, which I'm not sure is a word that a 6-year-old would appreciate.
No, but we'd probably think you're swearing at it. There you go.
But it's everything. It's the physical and it's the metaphysical, because we are not just this physical being, this physical thing that we can touch. We're also a soul body. We're a mental body. We're an emotional body. And it's very much about pulling the tools together to feel comfortable and feel happier in the skin that we're in this vessel that we're in. So, it's not about one thing, and it's not about nothing. It's about kind of everything, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, it's the proper meaning, often misused, of the word holistic, which means,
yes,
by the way, dealing with the whole, not leaving any part of the whole out. So, it all.
Yes,
it's all
very much. Very much. And I often actually talk about holistic and holistic. So spelling it out in both ways, the HOLIS and then WHOLE stick, basically, because it is very much about holistic and holistic, about putting all of the different parts of us together. And that's very much about what my journey was. I think we were talking about this last week, about how coming from the fitness industry, and still being in the fitness industry anyway, but, starting out my journey in the fitness industry, and even prior to my journey in the fitness industry, having done lots of different diets in the past, having done lots of different fitness programs in the past, joining different gyms, joining different dance classes, seeing my weight fluctuate from kind of popular weight management programs, and there was always that missing piece. It wasn't until I discovered Reiki, mindfulness, having had some hypnotherapy sessions as well, that was that missing piece that kind of connected it all together. Just kind of recapping on our previous conversations, that's then how
it's
I
all
came.
good. Do you know what? If anyone's listening, they'll excuse me, they'll recognize that to get where she is now, and you're by no means finished evolving anyway.
No, none of us
You'd
are.
agree, right?
Absolutely on a journey.
But to get there, you've gone through a whole series of epiphanies and realizations that all these different parts and to play with it, different modalities, if you just all help get you towards a goal of better self-realization and just feeling comfortable in your own skin, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to what you were talking about loving oneself, not being able to necessarily love somebody else until you can love yourself, and
it's
just
using it's a bit fruitless otherwise, isn't it?
Yeah. And we want to be able to use that language to talk to and about ourselves, because it is really, really important. And for those who are familiar with Louise Hay, I don't know if you're familiar with Louise Hay and the work of Louise Hay with affirmations and mirror work. So look up Louise Hay. She was absolutely an amazing lady.
Something new there to me, right? Mirror work, as opposed to what's shadow work compared to mirror work?
Very different.
Okay, thank you.
So shadow work is about kind of going into the deeper subconscious places, into the dark places, the places that are opposite the light, the places that we don't necessarily want to get to. Mirror work is literally holding up a mirror and repeating the affirmations. So taking a mirror, speaking into the mirror, into your own eyes, saying, I love you, right there into your own eyes, which is hard for some people. But once you can get there, it's really, really powerful.
I give it a go, but it every part of my body is screaming, what are you doing? But I'll do it.
It's not easy for everyone. And it's all part, and certainly when I'm working with clients, I wouldn't go from session 1 to holding up a mirror necessarily. Well, I mean, I could, I suppose, if that person was in the right place for it, but it generally is not a session 2 type activity.
Right. Well, then look, okay. Talk me through it. Some of the you said you were going to do this. You're going to break down some of the aspects that you promote and teach and work with, modality wise, within the body confidence wellness sphere.
Okay. So holistically and holistically, it's all about getting a balance, an alignment, a connection, if you will, between the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, the soul body. Okay. So what are these different things, and how do you know if they're out of alignment or how to put them into alignment? Well, the physical body is quite obvious. It's the thing we can touch.
Got you with that.
Yeah, the mental body, is very encompasses a lot of, your mental health.
I'm even there with you. It's the other ones. It's the other two that I've struggled with.
Okay. Well, the emotional body is sort of a cross between physical and mental in a way. It's a little bit about like the metaphysical, getting into the energy a little bit. So maybe introducing the chakra systems, the meridian systems, all of the, energy systems within our bodies that you can't necessarily see, but you can feel. Okay. And also our emotional responses to the things that happen in our physical world, in our mental world.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That bit I get. All right. That's one down. You got one left.
Okay. The soul body.
Yes.
This is the part where it's kind of, everybody talks about, the mind, body, spirit, the mind, body, spiritual. This is the spiritual side of things. So this is the thing that perhaps is not quite tangible.
You're not talking about spirits that float up from the graves or people on the other side.
No, it's our place in the world. It's
Okay.
kind of how we fit and how we connect to ourselves, to our community, to other people. It's our soul, it's our essence, it's our being. It's the way that you make people feel when you're in their presence. It's, you know, the aura, if you will, the vibe that you put out, the vibe that you can sense
Underdressed.
from other people.
That's how I make most people feel when I'm in their presence. Underdressed, like they didn't get the memo. No, okay, so I'm joking.
I hope nice orange bow tie today. It's an
Yes,
orange
yes.
energy day.
We were talking about this. I've got on my desk an orange as well. Apparently, Justine, explain all.
Okay, well, this is something that I'm very, very interested in. I would not proclaim myself to be an expert in this topic, but it's definitely
So the rest
something
of
that
it
I'm
is
very
ridiculous.
interested in.
It's your hobby.
Yeah, something that I'm very interested in
Okay.
is color energies. So it kind of is something that encompasses a little bit of numerology, a little bit of like, you know, personality types, a little bit of like the chakra systems. It kind of has a little bit of lots of different modalities put into it. But in the most basic sense, the way to figure out what the color energy is of the day is to add up the numbers of the day and pare it down to a single digit. So for example, today's the 28th of February, 2024. So if you add up 2 plus 8 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4, and then pare it down, is a 2. So today in numerology is the energy of a 2. Or if you put it into the terms of color energy, it's an orange day. The color energy of today is orange.
Well, I've definitely dressed appropriately, and I'm rather pleased about that.
You have.
So, what benefits do I get through having recognized it's an orange day?
Well, some of the characteristics of an orange energy day are kind of coincide with the sacral chakra, which is also represented by the color orange.
You did it there again. You did it there again. Words which this 6-year-old doesn't understand. What is the chakra, please, miss?
A chakra is an energy wheel or an energy system. The chakra system is an energy system within our body.
Okay, and I know there are a number of different sites. The most obvious and famous of which is right in the middle of your forehead.
Yes.
The so-called
known as the third eye.
Third eye, right?
Yes. Do you know what color energy it is?
No.
It's an indigo.
Oh, kind of blue. Well, that's appropriate. I like blue. Good blue. Blue's a good color. Yes, all right. Psychologically, blue is the color of honesty. There you go.
It's also very representative of the throat chakra blue, which is why
Hang on. They're both blue.
Well, it's like a blue and an indigo, so much more of a deeper blue.
So a dark blue and a sort of royal blue sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you think of the rainbow, if you think of Roy G. Biv,
yes,
that's the distinction.
Sorry, I do Vibgyor, but you know, whichever suits you.
That's the distinction between the throat chakra blue and the third eye indigo. But here's a little fun fact for you. If you notice in all of our interviews and pretty much every networking meeting that I ever go to, I am wearing a shade of blue. Because blue, throat chakra, is very much about communication, self-expression, being able to communicate your truth. And wearing blue helps those who want to communicate better.
Well, I always wear yellow.
Okay.
There's always an element of yellow somewhere. And I do like blue. Blue, as I said, the color honesty. So there's always blue found on every backdrop or website somewhere. There's always a bit of blue. Like on mine, the gear wheel over there, that's blue. And my shirt is blue. So blue is a very important color to me in that respect. But I didn't know. Okay, fair enough.
So as I said, I wouldn't proclaim to be an expert in it. I have a couple of books if anybody is interested in color healing or color energy or anything like that. Here. More than happy to share what those are. Excuse me. So it's a little bit more of a an interest. But as you mentioned before about all the various different things that I, bring into the business and bring into coaching, if I was working with somebody who perhaps maybe they wear black all the time, or maybe even wear white all the time, but there is like an absence of color in their wardrobe, because color in wardrobe is very much a way of self-expression.
Right.
And it can be a subconscious way of bringing some of these specific like personality or character traits, or like traits of the chakras, traits of the energy into that person's life without actually knowing it or realizing it. I was at a networking meeting earlier today. I was at a Zuko meeting in person, and I think there were 5 different people wearing orange. And when I was talking to them about how today's color energy was orange, they all found it really fascinating, because they were like, oh, well, I hardly ever wear orange, but I've just decided to pick this color today. I mean,
Well, yeah.
how is that not just fascinating?
Well, orange is a favorite color. I do like orange. I think it makes people happy. I also yellow for a similar reason. I mean, I find yellow and those kind of colors lift people's spirits. But you know why I wear a lot of purple?
I don't.
It's in celebration of Heather, my wife. Her
Oh,
favorite color is purple. Her hair is purple, and there's always in all my companies there's some sort of purple element somewhere.
that's amazing and really
And yellow
beautiful.
and yellow is the opposite end of the color wheel to purple. So
Love that.
that's why there's yellows everywhere, but
Love
purple
that.
is the predominant color.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's really good. That's really good. So yeah. So I just bring in any kind of different topic into the conversation. So do workshops that kind of bring all these different things in, and a lot of these
But
different
explain how
tools.
this is outside. That's the bit I want people to understand. Why it's important to you that you do it outdoors where you can.
So I do coaching outdoors because being outside is so important for like so many different reasons. I mean, it's nourishing in the body, because you're physically moving. It's nourishing for your mental, your emotional, for your soul, because getting out in nature, breathing clean air or fresh air or tree air, everything like that. It's really important to do that. And also, coaching outdoors has so many different elements, one of which is the side-by-side conversation. So when you're walking side by side with somebody, it's so much easier to get into a deeper conversation faster, because you're side by side, and you just kind of take away any of the barriers of worrying about your body language or eye contact or anything like that. So same with driving in a car or doing the washing up next to each other. They're just much deeper conversations. And also, nature provides the most incredible metaphors for coaching. If somebody is going through something in particular, but not really able to express what they're wanting to say about their feelings or anything like that, we might be able to just stop and look at a particular tree. And if it's an autumn, the leaves are falling. So this might be
Yeah.
representative of releasing and shedding something going on in their lives. Whereas looking at that same tree in the spring, we might be able to have a conversation about birthing a new idea, or rejuvenating in some kind of way. So we're always able to use nature and our surrounds as a metaphor for what's going on in that person in their coaching journey. So how do we bring color in? Well, we might not bring color in necessarily into the outdoor coaching, but we could also potentially bring color in when you talk about the changing of the seasons,
Right.
or
That's the obvious way.
yeah.
The thing of leaves gradually changing from green through reds, yellows, and finally to brown.
Yeah.
It's always the indicator. I mean, and I suppose just seeing the color changes around you is going to
Yeah.
have an effect on you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, nature and walk coaching in nature, I mean, provides so many metaphors and so many conversations. So, a coaching session outside is not too dissimilar from a coaching session on Zoom in terms
Right.
of, starting the session with a clear objective. The conversation is sort of coaching prompted questions. And then at the end of the session, I'll provide an email with homework of some description. So it might be journaling prompts, it might be an activity, it might be a worksheet, something like that, but actual homework to come back to me so that it's a clearly action planned type of activity. It's not just a fairly expensive walk in the park. There is, a purpose to it. So I mean, in the same, in a similar way, if we were on Zoom, obviously we don't, but we can still use nature metaphors. It's just easier to pull nature metaphors in if you can see it and touch it.
All right. I think we're going to draw it to a close there, but I'd like you to summarize the position. I'd like you to basically explain what a person would gain from that experience. What would it give them?
A connection with themselves. So what we're trying to do, no matter what modality it is, I think, or what environment you're in, I think ultimately what we want to do is to feel good. And in order to feel good, we need to have a connection. So a connection with ourselves, a connection with our body, a connection with our environment, with our community, friends, family, whatever. But I think it all boils down to connection.
Well, I think it's exceptionally important to have a connection with yourself. Otherwise, it's going to mean you'll feel like you're operating like a fraud. So if you've enjoyed this, and I certainly have, please do travel to the body-confidence.co.uk. Do take a look around. You'll find her also on LinkedIn. And if you want just to ask me questions about it, please ask me as well. But until next week, Justine, thank you for taking the time out. I'm gradually learning more and more. I didn't know what the chakras were for. Frankly, it's a revelation.
You better not let Heather watch this.
Why?
Because she'll tell you what the chakras are.
Well, I've never really had much interest till now. It's I'm learning on the job. Put it that way.
Good.
But thank you very much for your time today. And anyone listening, finding yourself may be the most important person you find. And try and have a safe and productive week, what there is left of it. And of course, I wish you all very safe and very great mental health. Bye-bye now.